Depression has absolutely nothing to do with your brain, and it has everything to do with your gut. So many people have been operating off of this idea depression is a chemical imbalance that you need to fix with SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. Well, this chemical imbalance theory has never been proven. In fact, in some studies, it shows that people that are depressed have normal serotonin or even higher amounts of serotonin. In your nervous system, you have all these different hormonal-like communications. One of them is serotonin. And serotonin does have an effect over your mood, just like dopamine has an effect of motivating you. But what an SSRI does is it blocks the uptake of serotonin. Let's say, for example, we have a marriage, right? We have a husband and a wife, and they're communicating. And the husband sends a communication over to the wife, but she's wearing earplugs, okay? That's the SSRI effect, right? You wear earplugs, and so then the husband starts shouting. Is that going to fix a marriage? No. Dr. Peter Ghosh wrote several books on this topic, and he basically said SSRIs are basically placebos. Hey, well, you know what? At least they're getting some benefit, right? Yeah, but what about the side effects, okay? Because in his book, he talks about the massive serious side effects of SSRIs: sexual dysfunction, no orgasm, decreased libido, you don't experience emotion anymore, worsening of the depression. Let's just compare that with something like St. John's wort. St. John's wort doesn't just deal with serotonin, it deals with dopamine, it's an anti-inflammatory, it even reduces cortisol. And what does the medical profession say about St. John's wort? They say, well, you have to be careful not to take it because if you're taking that and a psych drug, you might increase serotonin. St. John's wort has very little side effects, and it actually works better than the placebo because it's a natural thing and it does a lot of different things. And there's some interesting things about Prozac. Prozac is an SSRI. When Prozac came on the market in 1988, a couple years later, in 1990, there was an outbreak of some serious side effects where they had a bad batch of tryptophan. So the FDA decided to ban tryptophan for quite some time. They lifted the ban of tryptophan right after the patents for Prozac ran out. Let's shift gears to our gut. Your gut makes serotonin. It also makes something called oxytocin, a very powerful hormone that can help people with depression, stress. Typically, people think about oxytocin as the hormone for bonding between a mother and a baby, or when a mother is breastfeeding. Oxytocin is also there to increase contractions during a pregnancy. So it has multiple functions, but just realize that your gut makes oxytocin, and there is a highway between your gut and your brain. It's called the vagus nerve. The communication from your gut to your brain is very, very heavy. It's like 80%. And then we have 20% of information going from your brain down to the gut. So your brain is monitoring what's going on in your gut, and then the rest of your heart and other organs as well. That's how your brain monitors the rest of your body, through the vagus nerve. And so if your gut microbes are not doing well, this alone can create depression. In fact, when other studies, when you take depressed people and you look at their gut microbiome, there are some serious missing microbes. This area of gut microbiome is completely underappreciated in the area of mental health. Also, if you have gut inflammation, you're not going to feel good mood-wise. This is why what you eat is so vitally important with how you feel up here. And this is all very interesting, but when you also think about antibiotics, one of the big side effects of taking antibiotics is depression, because you're now erasing the good bacteria that controls your mood chemicals. It wipes them out overnight. And then you think, oh yeah, the microbes will start to grow back. No, a lot of times they don't grow back. So now you have this imbalance and you wonder why you're depressed. In practice, I would ask people, when did you start getting depressed? Did you take an antibiotic right before that? Many times they would say, yes. How did you know? The gut microbiome is a chemical factory, good chemicals that will send chemicals up through this nerve, goes up to your brain, and it affects your mood. If you have not seen my other video, I'm going to put a link down below, but I want to tell you a little bit about this amazing microbe. You can buy L. reuteri as a microbe in a supplement, but many times it's not in the potency that you really need to create the effect. And Dr. William Davis told me about an amazing way to cultivate this microbe using ultra-pasteurized half and half. And you basically put it in a yogurt maker and for 36 hours, and then you just take a half a cup a day. I've been doing this for months, and I want to tell you something. It's a game changer. The first thing that my wife actually noticed is she kept saying, like, why are you hugging me 5 times a day? What's gotten into you? I said, I don't know. I've been consuming this yogurt. It just makes me very social. It's really wild. She goes, well, just keep taking that yogurt. I noticed my sleep's better. My muscle is better because it increases stem cell for your muscles. It reduces stress. And if you watch my previous videos on this and you read the comments, it'll blow your mind how many people are just getting amazing results with this probiotic. It acts as a natural antibiotic without any side effects that I could perceive. Another interesting point about L-reuteri, like, where does it come from? Well, it's actually in mother's breast milk. Breastfeeding is not as common as it was years ago. And antibiotics are extremely common. And so these gut microbes are something that we need to put more attention on. So I highly recommend that you cultivate this L-reuteri. I will put some information down below of exactly how to do it. And then you're going to realize that your depression really had nothing to do with your brain and had everything to do with your gut. Thanks for watching.